Hank's the family fixer, always with his tool belt. But living with prostate cancer, he needed help. He asked his doctor about Xtandi and enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
All right, Wayne, we wanted a response from United, and we got one.
Yeah, it took a little while, but I don't think we could have asked for much more. I think if we'd have been asking for a lot more, maybe another goal, which we threatened to deliver, if we'd got that extra goal, I would have said perfect outing. Other than that, I'm pretty happy. I think the thing that you look for is a response from everyone, and that's the manager included. I think he picked the team that he had to pick. I think we've talked before about combinations. So if you start singling one player, the way that he builds his team, then you talk about making two changes. If you make two changes, it makes those players look like they're the accountable pair. So he had to be clever with the way that he did that. I think he did that right. The players, I don't think it was a great first half. We started very well. You could see that the players were definitely eager to sort of right what was wrong on Saturday, but then on Sunday, but then I think that eagerness probably gave way to anxiety. But the second half, very, very polished. And 4 could have been 5 or 6 quite comfortably, really. Really good performance, some good goals in there as well. And I think, all right, it's not going to atone for what happened on Sunday. Obviously, it's not, but these are baby steps. And you're looking at a wounded animal. You want to see some kind of reaction, some kind of pride there. And we did. So.
And there was lots of pride. Yeah. I mean, you could clearly see there was heart on the sleeve. The players were hurt. They went out there to make a response. I think you do make a good point about the team. And clearly Ten Hag concurs with that. So well done, Ten Hag, for getting it right. But I mean, it's true. They were all so bad on Sunday. You could have changed all 11 of them if you were going to start pointing fingers, because there weren't 2 or 3 you could pick out as the changes. I mean, often there have been, and we do want accountability. We want there to be consequences. And I suspect if United hadn't played well tonight, there would be consequences. But in picking the same 11, he said, hey, you've got a chance to go right this now. And we got the response. Even Carthorse scored up front. I mean, he couldn't miss, could he? Even he scored.
He could. No. He could have missed.
That's
not
true.
He
does his
wasn't.
best.
Yeah, and it wasn't the easiest chance in the world. But yeah, I mean, little great play for that goal as well from Palestri as well. So
yeah. Some really good goals tonight from United, and by the way, higher XG by United tonight than Liverpool got in scoring 7 the weekend. So I think that makes us the moral victors this week.
And that's a real quiz. Get the shoes, throw them over a pub, all that kind of nonsense. Get Finchy out there to tell us that's a real quiz. Yeah, no, I just keep coming back to that we had to see a reaction. There were some fantastic goals as well. Let's build the hyperbole. Let's build the hyperbole. And
it's fine.
Yeah, no, I know I was saying I was just a bit tired. The goals were outstanding. Rashford's goal was outstanding.
What a strike.
Bruno's, it was fantastic. I love those kind of goals.
He absolutely smacked that bastard, didn't he?
Yeah, he was. Do you know that was Sunday in one shot? I thought, yeah, all right. And you could see he did sort of like the relief in the celebration as well, which was really good to see. All of it, I think. Anthony's goal. We know that he scores that goal a lot.
I mean, he's a one-trick pony, but it's a fucking good trick, isn't it?
And Obviously some are better than others, and obviously the City one, that one tonight, and the Barcelona one, just
Yep.
absolutely beautiful. I mean, you could almost sense as soon as he got that little bit of space that he's going to get a real clean connection on it. And once he does that, I don't know, because that's a difficult shot. One trick pony aside, and the fact that he always does it, that's a difficult shot to get away from the goalkeeper, considering that they're always prepared for that. So the fact that he can do it as often as he does, it was beautifully struck. Fernandes thought it was a nice header as well. So, yeah. So,
yeah, no, good for Fernandes. He's taken a lot of stick this week. I think unfairly singled out in some parts. I mean, yes, he behaved like a child, and obviously had to go at the assistant referee and was moaning thoroughly. It was kind of the worst parts of Fernandes all wrapped into one sort of half of football, wasn't it? But he wasn't by any means the only guilty party on Sunday.
No, he wasn't. And I know you guys have already talked about it, so we're not going to be banging the drum of what happened on Sunday. But what I do want to say is there has been, as there tends to be, when you see a wave of overreaction, you kind of get another wave of overreaction. And I think that that's kind of helped Bruno in a certain way, because Neville coming out and saying he has to come off when he didn't, that's helped a little bit of defiance in Bruno's favour. I thought it was kind of terrible on Sunday. I think the things that he did were kind of terrible, and if he had not had the kind of buffer of people defending him in the wake of what was obviously the United fans' natural reaction is to defend the players. Even if they've been terrible, they will come out and defend players if they've been unfairly castigated, as Bruno was in that instance. So he kind of diluted the bad. What he did do, I thought what he did do was kind of deplorable, really, on Sunday, and not befitting of a United captain. But then again,
agree.
It was one of those. He put Ten Hag in a difficult situation, and I back him again, because he's kept the armband on him, and he responded again tonight.
Well, a word would have been had, right? Ten Hag does have high standards. The players have said that. More than one player has said he's got very high standards. I'm sure he will have asked more from Bruno. And for a captain, yes, there's standards, but also maturity. I mean, he's not a kid anymore, is he? And you set the standard for the other players. You set the tone for the other players as well. So, and there wasn't any of that tonight. Obviously, United won, so we see the flappy arm Bruno mostly when United aren't playing well. I suspect he was also very frustrated playing in a weird position. He went back to his normal position today. It was much more kind of balanced, normal feel to the side, wasn't it? And it probably just helped everyone. Back to basics, know what you're all doing, go out there, show some determination. You're better than this lot. Because, hey, better than this lot, but they're not a crap team, Betis. They're doing well in La Liga. Until recent couple of weeks, they had a very, very tight defensive record, and United were clearly superior, helped by some really, really good goals.
Yeah,
so, and Wout Karthorst. So I should stop calling him that. It's mean. So, hey, you got to love the fact. I like him, to be honest. I like that he wears his heart on his sleeve. I don't mind that he's a filthy scouser.
He's not a Liverpool fan, but I do think I think that he tried to do something winding up the Liverpool players.
He said,
I believe that. I think that's sincere.
Honestly, what does it matter if he was?
It doesn't.
I mean, they're professional footballers. They're there to do a job. I mean, there can't be many. There literally aren't many Manchester United fans in the United team right now. So if we were to take that standard, then we wouldn't have anyone playing for us. It has always been the way. Jamie Carragher, who was very quick to celebrate Liverpool's win and have a go at United, is an Everton fan, despite playing for Liverpool for all his career and suddenly deciding he's a Liverpool fan these days. So I did find it interesting, not to divert us too much into sort of pundit reaction, but I couldn't help but think after that, because Neville does punch down on the United team a lot. It's kind of been the way he's set himself up. I don't know whether, Dan on the weekend pod wondered whether it's it's an overreaction to potential accusations of bias. Yeah, maybe that's the case, but it's always been his reaction to United. And then I thought, okay, well, Scholes does that too, and so does Keane. And then there's of the ex-United player pundits, there's Hargreaves and Ferdinand, who are kind of generally quite boring. Maybe Rio's got some more interesting things to say sometimes. And then there's Peter Schmeichel, who's just incomprehensible. He says words and they're coming out of his mouth. I know that because his mouth is moving. And I can't understand any of it. And if you see it written down, it's an absolute jumble of nonsense.
Yeah.
And I was like, why aren't there any good ex-United player pundits? I mean, it's Danny Higginbottom, but he ain't played
well, you've got
club.
now. Yeah, you got in the States. Yeah, I was going to mention him actually, and I'm glad that he did because he
does more MLS than anything else these days, which is a shame because he's a good pundit.
He's more subtle with it in terms of like he'll put his heart on his sleeve from the start of the conversation. He'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm a United fan, but such and such and such." It's not. He'll play with that sort of. I'm not going to say tone deaf. What I mean is like tone deaf to the bias situation.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas Neville, like you said, Neville and Scholes, they tried to play it down so far that it seems to go the other way. And I did listen to what you and Dan were talking about the other day, and I agree with it all because that was one of the things that I take away. Obviously, I go to the home games, and so I watch the away games on Sky when they're on, and when the big games like that. I found it. Sunday was, and I know we're going back to that, but that's the topic of conversation. And it's not the game, it's the punditry. I found it absurd what I watched on Sunday because it was all building around Souness like having a laugh, and then afterwards they're saying, "Oh, Souness wants a recliner and everything." And what they did was, through this kind of back and forth of United pundits trying to play it like, I don't know, like say, "Oh yeah, like, Liverpool played well, but the headlines will be about United because United were awful and it was a shocking result. So the headlines will be about United," as they were. They predicted that because that was obviously was going to be the case. Then Carragher and Souness and Kelly Kate, she's a great host, but she likes to indulge in it as well. And I do kind of think like, if you're paying a subscription, I don't think it's fair if like you've got part of the panel who were there to provide them by, all right, you can have some kind, you accept that there's going to be some kind of bias, but they were crowing. It didn't feel professional. And then once you get to a certain point where, and I don't know what Souness's inebriation status was like, or whether, and maybe that's casting too much of an aspersion, or whether he just simply got carried away, because there was a moment in the broadcast.
I mean, you're not casting an aspersion, you're simply asking a question.
Yeah, because it seemed to be late in the broadcast as well, so maybe between breaks he'd had a beer or something. Late in the broadcast, when they come back to him, he starts going into something like, "Oh," because he seemed a bit rankled by the point that Neville had said that Liverpool hadn't had to play well, which I agree. That wasn't a Liverpool vintage that like had to be at that best to tear us apart. We gave them 5 goals basically in the 6-yard box, which was criminal. So, but then you saw Souness, he was so rattled by it. He comes out and he starts going, "Oh, United have been getting away with it for weeks," and he completely flipped the tone, and you could tell because of that's the path that he went down, that he wasn't motivated by Liverpool having played well, he wasn't really bothered by Neville saying Liverpool hadn't played well. It was more to do with the fact that something had got under his skin. He felt like he could get carried away just because United. And don't get me wrong, we've seen better United teams than this suffer similar implosions like we did against Newcastle in '96 and stuff like that. Sometimes, I'm not saying
a dozen games, of course.
I'm not saying you need to see Liverpool spank United 7-0, but sometimes you need a good blowout to clear the cobwebs and get back on and sort of reconfigure where you are.
That's what I tell the wife after I've had 8 pints of beer. Yeah,
so, exactly right.
Yeah.
So we've
all a bit of steam, sink some beers.
We've all been there. But Souness took it that step further, and he's going, the wheels have come off, and United have been getting away with it, and they got away with it against Barcelona, and they got away with it against blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, all right, you've had your fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean by the partisan element, where you would never see Neville or Keane get, or maybe Keane sometimes, but Keane would get carried away where he's so frustrated if he's seen United play terrible that he would say, "I want to fight David De Gea," or something like that. He'd get so frustrated. But whereas Souness, he gets like, it became almost like laughable at that point. It's like, all right, you've had your fun now, lads. Liverpool are back. They're going to win everything again. and now United were rubbish again. And
we know Liverpool invented football, the greatest football team that ever existed, despite Klopp winning one title in 6 years, and even that having a big asterisk by the side of it. Not that we want to divert ourselves too much, but you know what football coverage is about now? Number 1, transfers. Number 2, the pundits. Number 3, somewhere in all of this, there was a game that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It always surprises me, and I know we're going off on a 10-minute tangent here because United did actually play Betis tonight, but surprises me how few pundits add any value. So when was the last time? Because look, these guys played the game. I've been a fan all my life, but I've never played professional football. I was crap at football. I have no idea what it's like inside the dressing room. I've spoken to a few footballers over the years, but it's kind of sponsor related stuff. They never really say anything. You've probably got much better insight than me, but I just what I want to hear from them is the thing that you don't know as a fan. Like, what is it like to be a player in that situation? Why is he making that pass? Why are the tactical? Why has the manager set it up in a certain way? What's he looking for in terms of like winning that game or negating the opposition? Like the things that you don't know as a fan, that's what you want the pundits and the analysts to do. And the commentators there kind of just to keep you company through it all. And it's just not enough of that. And it's either kind of banter as entertainment, which is CBS's coverage in the States. It's less of that happens in the UK, but or it's like shock jocks who are there to create snippets for social media, which seems to be Sky's role these days. Actually, probably the best coverage is NBC's coverage, which is really good of the Premier League. It's mature and it's for grown-ups.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's funny because like you mentioned that, and I think I do the weekly pod with Paul Parker, and I think he's really good with balance like that. But at the same time, he has his own gripes. I'm here to be 100% honest. Like he does have his own gripes. Like he has bugbears about certain players. Like for a long time, it would be, why is Aaron Maguire playing on the left when he's not suited to it? Why is he captain? Now, like it's why is Bruno captain? So he will get, and then when it particularly goes wrong, like he did on Sunday, he might go on his soapbox and talk about that for a bit. So, but you will then have the listeners or like people watching, and they'll be saying, "Oh, he's talking about Bruno again." So it's kind of like they're so mistaking what we're trying to do because that's what everyone else is trying to do, and they'll miss the golden nuggets that he comes out with. But at the same time, when we do get picked up by the press, it is generally because he said something about Bruno or something like that. You can't avoid that kind of element of it. But the other ones, like you're talking about, let's say Gabby Agbonlahor, Curtis Woodhouse, the kind of nonsense they come out with. Although, if we are going to talk about pundits and just be a bit more light-hearted for a bit, what happened to Matt Letizia, Tim? Where he became this version of him? Do you know, like... Because if you had said, like, because as a neutral, I'm sure you're with me in the same camp. There's probably, in English football, away from Manchester United and away from Zola, there probably wasn't a player who entertained us as neutrals as much as Matt Letizia.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Beautiful player to watch, yeah.
And then at this post, and then he
went into what happened to him? 5G transmitted the COVID into his brains. Bill Gates is controlling him. It's not his fault. He didn't have the tinfoil on, and he got caught.
But he was
and it's a global conspiracy. Or something.
He played football until around 2003, and then he was a pundit for 15 years, and we never heard any of this. And then he went off Sky, and then for maybe 3 or 4 years, all we've had is this tin hat nonsense. And I think, like, has there ever been such a public shift in terms of like what they are and what they represent? Because
it's David Icke. Do you remember him? He's the cult leader.
I was going to say, all right. You
Younger listeners won't get the reference, but go Google it.
You don't have to get so serious about this. I was going to be more light-hearted and say Peter Shilton.
No, he definitely went off into that kind of sphere as well. Yeah.
And everyone like now just says he got out-jumped by a midget, and
we did.
It's the level of punditry is not so great, and I think Sky would be better served if because let's be fair about it, apart from the sort of Keys and Gray kind of stuff, they were pioneers and they were groundbreaking to the way that they revolutionised sports punditry on television. And I just think
and in fact, when Neville first joined, he was a revolution too, because we hadn't had that kind of level of depth and analysis. And I think they've just gone off into this playing Carragher off against Neville thing. It's just a bit too much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway. All right. There was actually a game tonight, folks. We United beat Betis, and surely that is enough to take United into. Which round is this? Is this a quarterfinal? No, it's the round of 16. Round 16. God, I lose track.
Yeah, I think it's 16. And yeah, we're one goal away from mass rotation. So I don't think you'll see that with 3 goals. I think you'll see steady rotation. Yeah. Maybe like the spine will probably keep his place. I would probably like to see Fernandes given a rest. And I think if you're a little bit more pragmatic in setting up a screen, you might be able to get away with that in an away game in Europe with the advantage that we've got.
Be an absolute shocker if United have like a couple of speed merchants up front and a pragmatic in midfield, just enough danger there that Betis can't throw everyone forward. And if they do, an opportunity for a goal will come. So, yeah, it'd be an absolute shocker if United were to go out at this point. But then again, and we've got the experience of the past week. But in fact, actually, that the part what happened last weekend in the game we should really never talk about ever again. It makes me even more confident that United are going to go through. They'll be ultra focused. It's absolutely, I'm not even going to countenance it. United are through. I'm sure of it.
Wow, you went big there.
I've jinxed it, haven't I?
You did. You just went and just gave that absolute prediction. You could have just said, I'm confident United will qualify.
I mean, I was extremely confident United would go and beat Liverpool as well, if you remember.
Yeah, well,
no doubt some scally somewhere has clipped that audio and they're playing it over and over again.
Yeah, I'm glad I stopped at my predictions because like saying I'm the most confident I've been this century, and I thought, no, I just still can't give that prediction, and good grief. Yeah, I am a lot more confident. No, I'm equally as confident that we will go through as I was that we would get a result against Liverpool. I do, like I said, I do feel, and to be fair, I feel like we were worthy of an extra goal tonight as well. So I might just. We won 4-1, but I'm going to say it was a moral 5-1.
Moral 5-1, it counts.
Yeah, so I'm going to give them that extra goal buffer, even though it won't count for much in terms of actual scoreline next Thursday. But exactly
2.97 XG. I mean, that's all good.
And
it took a very, very good goal from Betis as well to when they got back into it. They had that little spell in the first half, didn't they? After.
Yeah,
United had a very good start, and it was a great pass and a really good finish into the corner.
Handball? Do you think handball?
It was a handball in the build-up.
Are you having that as handball? Do you think?
Don't know. Am I? Not sure.
No.
What did you think of Bruno's tackle, where he went through on the keeper, which caused a lot of fuss?
I think he had a right to go for it. I don't think there was ever a point where he was out of control. I felt every part where he went for the ball, even when his foot was outstretched, he was still entitled to go for it. But you can see why he's going to get booked for it, because that's the risk that you take. If you go in for that and you don't get the ball, and you've really got to be able to get that ball cleanly in a tackle with a goalkeeper, then if you don't get it, you're booked.
I mean, It was probably when he said, "Have that, you city bastard," that the ref decided
that might have played a part in that. Yeah, it all kicked off, didn't it, as well, unnecessarily. But it feels like, as well, there was a lot of that after the game from what the early reports were saying, that there were a lot of trouble with the police. So it did, because the Betis fans have been in good form all through the day. Because we played Spanish teams in every round. Did we play? I mean, we played them definitely every round of this competition. But I mean, it feels like we've played all last 50 times in the Europa League has been Spanish sides. So, and every time they come into Manchester and they go to square in front of Selfridges, make a racket. it doesn't matter what club, what team they are, they go in front of Selfridges, make a racket, get the tram, go to Old Trafford, make a racket. Tonight, it looks like they went a little bit too far. But up until that point, I felt it was like a really good kind of first introduction to playing against a decent team from a decent place that we've never played before, Betis. So, but yeah. Hopefully. I mean, we know. I know you were saying just before we came on air that United fans have got a really checkered history with going to Spain with the authorities, and I hope that
the
this
locals
doesn't
like to kick the shit out of Reds. I mean,
yeah,
it's been a common theme.
Yeah. To put it that way, yeah. So I hope that this doesn't antagonise or instigate anything like that, because
Hopefully
I mean, it's
not.
an early kick-off next week. You would have thought that he's going to pass without too much.
Yeah, great city though, Sevilla. Great,
yeah.
really great city. Love it. Got a very different vibe to it, and like very walkable old town. The stadium's a bit further out, isn't it? But it's a big stadium as well. They get a good crowd in there. I mean, hopefully, still, unless they think they're out. No, Spanish fans are fickle, aren't they? So I was showing a friend of mine a video of, I think it was the last time I went to Camp Nou. Maybe I've been since. I can't quite remember. And the official crowd was like 80-odd thousand. There weren't more than 15,000 in there. It was just absolutely empty. Yeah, for a midweek game against, I think it's Alaves. And
wow.
They don't turn up. They don't turn up.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't know. Yeah, I would imagine that you'll probably get a fair few, because it's not completely over, and I think if it's close enough that many will have already bought the tickets and will want to see. They'll want to see Eric Ten Hag's mighty Manchester United.
Well, that's right.
He's only come to see United.
That's the only reason the Barca fans turned out. So there's normally 3 of them there waving their white hankies, but they all turned up to see us, didn't they? Some interesting results in the rest of the fixtures. Mourinho's mighty Roma won. Mourinho, who's making a habit of getting sent off this season. It's extremely amusing. He's been sent off 3 times. It's got to be some kind of record. So
yeah, it's you would imagine destiny will draw us against them at some point.
You're just waiting for it, aren't they? Anyway, good victory for them over Real Sociedad. Arsenal blew a lead against Sporting. It'd be kind of nice if Arsenal got knocked out. So it's probably unlikely, but you'd think they're the next strongest side in the competition.
Yeah.
Sevilla, who are having a horrible time at the moment, beat Fenerbahce. And so, I mean, I don't think they'll go down, but they're really not doing well, are they? So, am I getting that right? Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, and the Battle of the Unions, Berlin versus St. Galoise, finished 3-3.
Yeah.
That's Union St. Galoise are Tony Bloom's other team, aren't they? Am I right in saying? Brighton owner. Are they not owned by the same?
I'm not sure.
I think I might be right there.
I'll bounce your better judgment with that.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, like, if you don't know what you're talking about, just say it confidently and everyone will believe you anyway.
I concur. Yeah. I know. I just look at it and think we will be playing Spanish sides until such time that there are no Spanish sides left in the competition. So
there may be no. Well, I mean, we've had some bad results against Sevilla over the years, haven't we?
So no, it'll be them next. They'll be next, obviously. At least it's the same city, so Reds will know their way around.
Yeah, just book the return flight again now. No question about that. It's supported by you, our listeners, through patreon.com/NQAT pod, where you can get access to our weekly ad-free bonus episode talking about football around the Premier League and Europe. What else is going on this week? We've got a game against Southampton at the weekend.
No, they got rid of their manager. Oh.
Yeah, who was a bit of an oddball, wasn't he?
Called Nathan Jones. Yeah, he was a character, wasn't he? That's you will stick the knife in and say the unkind things. I will be on the fence and say he was a character. I liked his charming turn of phrase, and I was quite looking forward to hearing it in a more pronounced way, because I've heard the snippets and the sound bites, and I've heard Southampton fans going, oh, he said this, oh, he said that. I don't know what to expect from Southampton because they always look like a team that can get a result, but they also look like a team that could get battered at any given time. And I look at United, I think still something to prove from last weekend, and probably enough gas in the tank that they took the foot off the pedal for a little while tonight to be able to say, oh, we'll come out and give it a good go on Sunday as well, considering the fact that we can now probably rest one or two going into the next week's game. So it's the perfect scenario for Ten Hag, really. And like I'm saying, that Southampton are unpredictable, but they are at the start of a new cycle, and it's always difficult when you make a couple of managerial changes in one season. To talk about Danny Higginbottom, because he used to say he had a golden rule which was, it was not tried and tested 100%, but it was basically if you change managers twice in a season, that's the formula for relegation. Not many clubs get out of that. So,
who is the manager of Southampton? Have they appointed a permanent? They haven't, have they? It's probably one of the assistants. I really can't remember. Good research there, Ed. Yeah, Nathan Jones just gave off Championship vibes, didn't he? And it's probably cruel. I guess it's the same kind of reductive analysis that did for Ole Solskjaer. It didn't matter what he did. Everyone was going to assume that he was just not good enough because of where he'd previously managed. And I think people did the same thing about Nathan Jones.
Ruben Sellers is
that's right.
Caretaker at the moment.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see whether they get the bounce. I mean, they have already beaten City this season, of course.
1-2 lost 2 under him. So,
yeah,
he was caretaker earlier in the season as well. And maybe
just give him the job.
Whoever they are.
Yo-yo managers.
He'll probably be caretaker again before the season's out. So, I don't really. Yeah, it sounds like really lazy preparation for this, so let's hope that United are more prepared than what I've been in my notes for it. So I don't want to sound like I'm being too dismissive of them, but considering the fact that they could well have the bounce. I mean, winning 2 and losing 2 is pretty good bounce back from a temporary manager.
Mind you, lost to Grimsby in the FA Cup, so that's...
Oh yeah, that was the last result as well. So
they beat Leicester at the weekend. So
okay, let's...
So, I mean, I don't know. They're still in deep trouble, aren't they, Southampton?
But I remember, the Southampton side of... Oh, have we talked about Matt Letizia this book? I heard the Southampton side of the 90s who came to Old Trafford a couple of times and gave us a couple of scares. So, you might have that. I don't know. United, you've got to think that it's not... Again, without wanting to be too dismissive of the opposition, it's not about the opposition at this stage. It's about United getting themselves together after what happened last week, and Southampton, even taking everything into account, are fairly convenient opponents for that.
Yeah, and they're also dreadful, so that helps as well. There's my deep analysis. They're second bottom of the table because they have an absolutely dreadful defensive record, and that's because they're not very good. Somehow they managed to beat City, which, thank you very much. That was very good. But yeah, I fully expect United to win this one. Not being overly confident, just saying I fully expect. And I think I could be even more justified in that expectation than last weekend for the game we will never mention again.
What game?
All right. Yeah. What game? It's done. It's a blip. Strange. Matt Letizia would have a theory about it, I'm sure.
No, this might be one I'd be inclined to agree with him about. But Matt Letizia, he dated Marilyn from Home and Away. There are things about him that are inexplicable. Don't understand.
That's inexplicable.
Oh, well, yeah, it's one of the things. And he scored that goal where those goals, the one against Blackburn, he scored the one against Newcastle where he flicked it from behind his head.
Yeah.
And it went in. And now this is what he does on Twitter.
He's a full-time conspiracy theorist. He said it as well. He's now dedicated himself to revealing the truth. Whatever that truth actually is.
Man, when he tweets and you look at him, he's like, because obviously I don't follow him, so when he's retweeted onto my timeline, I'm like, oh, when Elon promotes him into my timeline, I just look at it and there's just a little part of me that thinks you can't believe that, you know? And because obviously these kind of tweets, full disclaimer for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, where if you're living under a rock, his tweets are the kind of ones that come with like the lengthy subtext beneath it that tell you why you shouldn't trust what he's tweeting.
That's right, yeah. Readers have suggested that Matt Le Tissier may be fucking bonkers.
Yeah, so
that kind of thing.
It just makes me feel sad, and you know, I've got no ownership over him as a football fan, because I quite liked watching some of his goals in the 90s. I didn't have any opinion on his punditry level. I just thought he was a famous face who sat there every Saturday talking about the game. I can't even remember any opinions that he had about football, but I'm certainly remembering some of his opinions, what he's got after football. And I feel like we really owe it to football to stick one past Southampton just to make Matt Le Tissier sad. If there's anything that our analysis from this podcast has taught us this week, is
make Matt Le Tissier sad. Yeah,
give him something else. Like, let's win in a controversial fashion. Like, let's do something that'll really get him talking about magnets or something like that. Do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford score the winner and then make like he's giving himself the vaccine, right? That would totally wind Le Tissier up.
I think Rashford could possibly do that himself just by his government stance.
That's true. All right, folks. Thanks for listening to this rambling nonsense. United won. We're back again.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.